The most dangerous person in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who stays silent. In every battle, whether it's on a throne, in a boardroom, or in your own home, the moment you react, you lose something, a piece of your power, a piece of your control. History has never favored the impulsive man, but it has always bowed to the man who waits. This was the secret weapon of the Stoics. They understood that restraint is not weakness, it's war, fought in silence. When someone insults you, they want to own your reaction. When someone provokes you, they want to see your mask crack. When the world screams for attention, silence becomes a shield and a sword. The Stoics weren't just philosophers in robes. They were strategists, power brokers of their own minds, masters of their impulses. They knew something most people still don't. The one who controls their reaction controls the narrative. This is why emperors, warriors, and masters of manipulation have always feared the quiet man. Because his silence doesn't mean submission, it means calculation. Tonight, we step into that world, the art of Stoic restraint. Not the soft, passive kind people misunderstand today, but the cold, unshakable kind that commands rooms, breaks power plays, and rewrites outcomes. At the core of Stoic philosophy is a simple but brutal truth. You cannot control the world, only your response to it. This idea, articulated by Epictetus, wasn't just spiritual wisdom, it was psychological dominance. When an enemy controls your reaction, they've already won half the war. Your anger becomes their weapon, your fear becomes their leash. But when you stay silent, you deny them that control. You make them play on your field. Silence is not passive, it's active, it's presence. It's the refusal to give others the power to dictate your internal world. The Stoics trained themselves for this in daily life. A servant breaks a vase, stay silent. A senator insults your name in public, stay silent. A lover tests your emotions, stay silent. Not because they didn't feel, but because they refused to feed the fire. They believed in emotional containment. Power, in their eyes, was like water. Spill it through reaction, and it's lost forever. Keep it still, and it reflects everything around it.
To understand the silent power of restraint, you must first see it at work in the hands of those who ruled empires, outwitted tyrants, and conquered themselves. Silence has never been the language of cowards. It has been the secret dialect of rulers. Number 1. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who chose the long game. Marcus Aurelius was not just a Stoic philosopher. He was the emperor of the most powerful empire on earth. Surrounded by enemies, political schemers, and traitors, he understood a truth few leaders ever grasp. Reacting gives your opponent the stage. When the Senate whispered against him, when rivals mocked his calm demeanor, when even close allies betrayed him, he did not strike immediately. He did not feed their ambitions with outrage. Instead, he waited. In the Roman political arena, silence was not absence. It was a signal, a message to the ambitious that he was watching, calculating. His refusal to respond forced his enemies to act out their plays in the open. They grew louder, more reckless, more obvious, and one by one, they exposed themselves. By the time Marcus moved, it was never impulsive. It was precise, cold, and inevitable. His silence wasn't submission. It was the prelude to control. Number 2. Epictetus, the slave who became untouchable. Epictetus was born a slave. His body belonged to another man, but his mind did not. His master would provoke him, humiliate him, beat him, trying to break his spirit. But Epictetus refused to give the one thing that made him truly free: his reaction. In one infamous story, his master twisted his leg cruelly. Calmly, Epictetus said, "If you continue, it will break." The master did not stop. It broke, and Epictetus didn't scream. In that moment, something subtle yet profound happened. The man who owned his body lost control over his soul. His silence revealed a terrifying truth to his master: "You can hurt me, but you cannot control me." Epictetus would later teach that freedom is not achieved by satisfying desires, but by removing desire. And nowhere is this truer than in the battle for emotional control. The one who can endure without reacting becomes untouchable. Number 3. Machiavelli, the strategist who let others speak first. Niccolo Machiavelli was neither a king nor a soldier. He was something far more dangerous, a thinker who understood power. He believed that information is leverage, and silence is how you gather it. When others speak first, their ambitions, fears, and weaknesses pour out like water through cracked walls. Machiavelli would sit, observe, and let them reveal their strategies before he revealed anything of his own. He famously wrote in The Prince, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception." But deception often begins with listening, not talking. In the Florentine courts, those who reacted impulsively were easy prey. But Machiavelli's calm, unreadable presence made men nervous. Nervous men make mistakes. His silence wasn't meekness, it was a trap. Number 4. Seneca, the philosopher who outsmarted a tyrant. Another master of restraint was Seneca the Younger, advisor to Nero, one of Rome's most unstable emperors. To survive at Nero's side meant learning when to speak, and more importantly, when to say nothing. Seneca was a Stoic, but also a realist. He knew that reacting to Nero's madness would be suicide. Instead, he practiced silence like a blade kept sheathed. He measured his words, cloaked his true opinions, and survived longer than anyone expected in the orbit of a dangerous man. Even as Nero's paranoia grew, Seneca's restraint bought him time to influence, maneuver, and protect what mattered most to him. It wasn't force that allowed him to endure, it was his quiet control. A common thread. Across these stories, emperor, slave, strategist, and advisor, there is one common thread: restraint. Their silence wasn't emptiness. It was a calculated refusal to give the enemy what they wanted, an emotional reaction. They used silence like a scalpel, sharp, deliberate, devastating. And here's the darker truth. Silence often frightens people more than anger ever could. When someone yells, you know what they feel. When someone stays calm, unreadable, silent, your mind starts to race. Doubt creeps in. Power shifts. This is the silent war the Stoics mastered. They didn't control others. They controlled themselves, and that made others unravel.
Modern psychology has a name for what the Stoics mastered: impulse control. When someone provokes you, they're not just testing your patience, they're testing your boundaries, your emotional stability, your power. A sharp look, a cutting remark, a calculated silence, all of these can be weapons if used deliberately. Why reacting weakens you? It shows where your emotional buttons are. It gives your opponent the map to your weaknesses. It creates a predictable pattern they can exploit. When you don't react, you create uncertainty, and uncertainty is power. Think about poker. The man who keeps a straight face controls the table, not because he has the best cards, but because no one can read him. This is restraint, turning silence into a battlefield advantage. The Stoics practiced this daily through negative visualization, detachment, and mental rehearsal. They pre-lived their worst moments in their minds so that when reality tested them, they were already calm, already prepared. While the world acted, they observed. Restraint isn't just holding your tongue, it's holding your entire state steady. That's why so many confuse it with weakness. But weakness is being pulled by the world. Power is making the world move around you.
The world may have traded togas for suits, palaces for boardrooms, and empires for corporations. But the game of power remains the same. And in this modern world, where everyone is addicted to reaction, the one who masters restraint holds a terrifying advantage. 1. The CEO who wins by pausing. In high-stakes business negotiations, silence isn't a weakness, it's a weapon. Imagine a boardroom. Two companies are locked in an intense deal. One CEO finishes presenting their offer. All eyes turn to the other side. A lesser leader might speak immediately, defend their position, or rush to fill the uncomfortable silence. But the master of restraint doesn't. He leans back, folds his hands, and simply waits. The silence is deafening. Nervous laughter bubbles from the other side. They begin to talk more. They reveal more than they should, lowering their own price, offering concessions that were never asked for. This quiet, controlled pause becomes a trap. The silent negotiator controls the emotional tempo of the room and therefore controls the outcome. This is how powerful men and women rise, not through loud proclamations, but through calculated stillness. 2. The politician who knows when not to answer. Modern politics is a theater of outrage. Everyone wants the last word, the loudest headline, the viral clip, but true power often belongs to the one who says the least. Think of the calm, expressionless politician who refuses to be baited during an ambush interview. Opponents throw accusations. Journalists try to provoke an emotional response. But instead of defending or lashing out, he gives a slow, deliberate smile, or no expression at all. His silence forces others to fill the air with their own noise, revealing their bias, their anger, their desperation. By not reacting, he becomes the still point around which chaos spins, and that stillness makes him appear more powerful, more in control, more feared. This is the modern translation of Stoic restraint, letting your enemies burn themselves out while you remain a calm center. 3. The fighter who doesn't flinch. In fighting sports, one of the most unnerving things a fighter can do is not react. Picture a boxer being taunted, hit with jabs meant to provoke a reckless counter. But instead of losing control, he absorbs it. He watches. He waits. He makes the opponent believe their strikes have no effect. Slowly, doubt spreads like a virus. The aggressor becomes frustrated. Their punches lose rhythm. Their breathing grows heavy. And then, with perfect timing, the calm fighter strikes back with precision. The same principle applies far beyond the ring, in workplace conflicts, in heated relationships, in daily life. When someone expects you to lose your temper and you don't, their strategy collapses. This isn't about cruelty, it's about quiet strength. Stoic restraint in personal relationships is one of the underrated forms of self-defense. 4. The partner who breaks the manipulation cycle. Emotional manipulation thrives on reaction. Think of a relationship where one person tries to control the other through emotional outbursts, anger, guilt, tears, the silent treatment. The usual pattern is predictable: provocation, reaction, submission. But when someone decides not to react, not coldly, but with calm detachment, the cycle breaks. The manipulator is left alone with their performance. Their power depends entirely on your response. And when that response never comes, their control dissolves. This isn't about cruelty, it's about quiet strength. Stoic restraint in personal relationships is one of the underrated forms of self-defense. 5. The modern leader who leads without noise. We live in an age that glorifies loudness. Online debates, public outrage, performative emotion. But the most feared leaders aren't the ones who shout. They're the ones who say little, reveal nothing, and act decisively when the time comes. Their silence creates an atmosphere, an invisible weight. Colleagues watch their every move, not because they make noise, but because they don't. And in that quiet, everyone becomes more careful. This is psychological gravity, an aura of power created not by volume, but by restraint. 6. A modern battlefield. In all these examples, negotiation tables, interviews, boxing rings, relationships, leadership, the battlefield is no longer just physical, it's psychological. Most people in this age are slaves to their impulses. They react instantly, emotionally, desperately. Their minds are open books, their power easy to manipulate. But the one who can endure the storm without flinching becomes something rare in this world. Unpredictable, dangerous. Silence unsettles people because it removes their map. When you don't react, they can't read you. When they can't read you, they can't control you. This is why restraint remains one of the most feared powers in the modern world. It's not passive, it's not weak, it's the quietest form of dominance. Restraint isn't something you just decide one day. It's trained like a blade. Observe first, act later. When something triggers you, delay your reaction by a few seconds. Silence isn't empty, it's space for strategy. Detach from ego. Most reactions come from wounded pride, but pride is fragile. Power is quiet. Let silence speak. Sometimes the most devastating reply is none. Let their insecurity echo in the quiet. Train emotional distance through journaling, meditation, or Stoic reflection. Practice owning your emotional state. Play the long game. Reactors win the moment. Strategists win the war. The Stoics believed power lies in what you don't do, not in what you do.
The modern world worships noise. People scream for attention, react to everything, and hand over their power for free. But power was never in noise. It was always in silence. The Stoics, emperors, slaves, strategists, all understood the same law. He who controls his reaction controls the battlefield. To stay silent when provoked is not weakness. It's a form of warfare few can understand, and even fewer can master. Restraint doesn't make you invisible. It makes you dangerous, because in silence, they can't read you, they can't control you, and they can't stop you. Be like the rock against which the waves break. It stands firm, and the raging sea falls still around it. Marcus Aurelius.